Good morning, folks. Welcome to Carmo Human Chatbot. My name is André Rufino. I work at Medis, a company part of Ageas Group here in Portugal. Now, before we dig into the topic, I want to share with you what are the main objectives for my presentation today. Now, I want to give you the concept behind this human-based chatbot, as first, but then also share with you that it belongs to a wider strategy of emotional presence by Medis. Thirdly, how did we see that implementation going forwards? And finally, some insights on how can you use, and personally, how do we use Carmo as a customer listening tool. Now, before speaking about this topic, and some of you that might be less familiar with the subject of chatbot, what is actually a chatbot? And basically, a chatbot is a software that simulates or intends to simulate a human conversation that can be either by text or voice. And let's say in its most advanced version, its most sophisticated version, it is driven by artificial intelligence, and thus it improves its comprehension and its decision making every time it is actually simulating those human conversations. Now, for us, it was conceived as part of a larger digital experience strategy that we have built over the past years, and at the same time also has a tool to optimize our back-end operations. Now, and this is was just a pre-note on chatbots. For the next few minutes, I want to explore the wider strategy that we have and how this fits in specifically within that strategy, because I believe that it's really important that you understand where chatbots and actually all those artificial intelligence components can fit in your wider strategic angle. Now, Medis is an healthcare player. It has an insurance component, it has a health management component, and it has been since the past evolving a lot on the healthcare presence as a whole. Now, if you look to the right side of my slides, you see that our health management composes a couple of things, namely, all the prevention contents, our Medis 24-hour line that basically has more now than 25 years, and actually it was the founding element of the National Health System's SNS 24. And if you move to the healthcare network, you already see that we have presence in clinics, and then when you move up to insurance management, we obviously have our insurance products, but also a strong and developed digital ecosystem. Now, I just want you to take a moment to look upon this ecosystem that we've built around healthcare, and namely the Medis 24-hour clinical screening, which was, I would say, the founding element of a larger beyond insurance strategy when we've created Medis 25 years ago, because I'm going to pick up that in a few slides ahead. Now, the current strategy that we have is obviously for a larger mission, for a larger purpose, which is actually to develop and deliver to our members, to our customers, a personal health service. It's a registered brand that we actually took upon, and ultimately everything that we are doing, everything that we are developing, everything that we are creating, being incremental innovation, being disruptive innovation, it's part of a larger and cohesive strategy. And in the way that we develop the chatbots, the way that we develop Carmo, is actually quite connected to the foundation elements of this strategy. Obviously, specifically, the angle of the chatbot was handled by this leadership in customer experience pillar, where we intend actually to connect customers through unique and effortless experiences. But I wanted to share this with you because the way your chatbot will operate, the way your chatbot will handle in the organization, the way that you want it to behave, it should intrinsically be connected to a larger, wider, and cohesive strategy that you have in your organization. Now, moving ahead, I want to ask you for 1 minute or less, obviously, what is the difference between the chatbot that you see on the right, which is the icon that we use. Even if you go on our website Medis.pt, you will see on the right side of the screen that you see Carmo, the chatbot, and that is the icon that you use on the right. And on the left, it's also Carmo. Now, when we were creating the chatbot, and obviously our strategy for this chatbot is going to really be a full scale-up solution, we were thinking on how can we bring to it the core elements of the foundation of the company. And so the marketing folks came with a brilliant idea, which is to name Carmo as a tribute to our first nurse hired for the clinical 24-hour line 25 years ago. So actually, the person that you see on the left is Carmo. The person that you see on the right is also Carmo. And this might be a detail, but it actually puts up the mindset in the transformation of a larger organization on how do you actually look upon the topic of chatbots, upon the topic of automation, upon the topic that you really, despite that you are creating a machine to interact with your customers, you still want to bring it to the core elements of a human-based conversation. Now, the next slide, I have a short video around the functionalities, around the things that it does, and so that you can see what we are talking about. Now, Carmo currently is on our website, Medis.pt, and you can basically, simulate insurance product. You see that the conversation is quite easygoing. The use of emojis and all that, and you can further see that the purpose is to really have an end-to-end process in whatever that we have deployed. It's also available on Facebook, and you see that the experience is slightly adjusted from the device or from the, in this case, on the channel that you have enrolled with. But the core elements and the core foundations are there. Now, one important thing that happened here is that Carmo was not really able to answer it. So you want to think about the strategy when your chatbot reaches to a point that it still hasn't learned to answer, and so it moved to a real human in this case. Now, this third example is about, frequently asked questions, a lot of stuff that our customers ask us about. We try to put them there. In this case, the customer is asking what is the copay. So typical, things that the insurance jargon has. So what you saw is that actually Carmu serves customers throughout all the journey, and that's when we thought about launching this. We really wanted to be present, if not with a lot of functionalities, but at least that we would be present in pre-sales, in sales, and post-sales. Now, specifically, like you saw in the video, in the pre-sales you can get the frequently asked questions, you can get product information, pricing, value proposition, but also you can simulate a product. Now, we were very careful in choosing the product because we wanted the product to be very simple, without medical questionnaires, so things that could really fit in a chatbot environment, at least from a first case launch. Now for post-sales, one thing that I wanted to highlight is we had a lot to think about. Okay, what if Carmu doesn't work? We don't want to be another chatbot that in the end people will just close and say, okay, this was fun, but it doesn't get me to any point. So every time that Carmu is not able to really provide you an answer because it's still learning, we have the opportunity to directly put you in contact for a human-based conversation. And that we believe it's quite important in terms of the reliability of Carmu. At least, as I said before, it doesn't get to a minimum level of learning. Finally, we've also included a couple of what are the other affinities and benefits that Medish holds, and how can I get use of them. But the main core concept idea is to be present at least in one particular moment on all of these three larger journeys: the pre-sales, the sales, and the post-sales. Now, but when looking to the development of Carmu, obviously it will evolve over time. Currently we have built Carmu around Microsoft AI within Azure. It's obviously learning throughout the journey, and the idea is obviously to assume new servicing and capabilities at the same time that we want to prove the presence in our channels. So currently we are in the website, the public area, but also at Facebook. And the idea is, while you develop more functionalities, while you develop more capabilities, you're also able to bring them over time to other channels like WhatsApp, like potentially your app, and so forth. One of the key challenges is, where do you start from? Where do you think that it makes sense to build Carmu? Now, from our perspective and the way that we have built the program around, was we put it on one of our axes. We've put it, what is the impact from the eyes of the customer, in the sense of what is most asked about, what are the most intentions from our customers, and at the same time we look for the complexity of its implementation internally, obviously, but also from a technology point of view. And that's when we met that our first initial approach would be to launch it on the website public area, on Facebook, and to cover a couple of the journeys that from pre-sales, sales, and post-sales. And specifically in pre-sales, we went for the journey: I need information, I have questions, and I need a doctor, I need care. So you can find also with Carmu where is the near doctor, and whether he's part of Medish network or not, and also to simulate. I want to simulate a product. As I said before, the product here at this stage was the simplest, let's say, product that we have from an underwriting perspective, from an acceptance perspective, so that you can really have a seamless customer experience with Karmo. And on the sales, again, buying that product, and on the post sales, one of the most relevant topics was if I'm not able with to clarify with the I need info or I have questions, then you can really go to speak directly to one of our operators. Now, but the core element that is underlying this is that you want to really start small, despite that you think really big. So you want to build, the full roadmap of where you want to go and what you can do, but you want to really, to cut it into pieces, to make small and incremental developments. So, and the way that we've handled that was managing, customer impact and complexity of implementation. So that's how we handled the go-to-market for now. And with that, obviously, we see that Karmo is working seamless across, both, Facebook and the website. And our initial approach, coming back from the previous slide, was we're gonna put, Medis Dental, which is the simple product that we've put it on the market without any, medical questionnaires and all that you can use it just after you buy it. So that's where we started, because we thought, okay, this is, quite simple and quite easy to go ahead. And then obviously you can think of, other angles on other approaches, like, have a symptom checker, how do you feel, do you have symptoms or not, on your Medis website. And then the third option can be, for instance, I want to change my address from my insurance policy. I probably would do it more on an app, because if I'm already a client, I'm more, guided to go to the app. So what I want to say with this is that despite being working seamless and consistent across all of the channels that you might bring up Karmo, the functionalities and the accessibility to those functionalities, you might want to think whether in some cases you put them in one channel but you don't put it in another channel, because it doesn't make sense from a customer experience perspective. Now, coming to how do you really scale and implement this at a larger level? And we call it, how do you bring the bot factor into action? One of the important elements is, your partners. Really count on your partners, really bring them into your story. In our case, that was quite relevant. But obviously that proceeds after you having a bot or infrastructure that, as I shared with you before, was held in Microsoft at the moment. And then we've developed this concept of bot factory, that every 5 months we want to have, new functionalities / channels coming in. Now, 5 months for us was what would make sense from, really understanding how our ops are going inside and how can you really put them with a human based conversation through machine, also to have the experience of building all those conversations. So that's how we've put it on our roadmap, and we've launched it, the first one, in September, and we're looking forward for the next weeks to get on with the next coming functionalities. Now, before closing, I shared with you in the beginning that I also wanted to highlight the importance of Karmo as a customer listening tool. And since we've launched it, we have already more than 30,000 conversations, just a few weeks, and you really understand what our customers looking for. because out of these 30,000 conversations, you can really segment them into what are customers asking you for, where are they clicking more, what is really the inbound that you are getting, but really real time. So it obviously helps you to learn and fit and to guide to adjust not only your product communication, your general communication, but also your strategy of Karmo rollout, of the chatbot rollout. So I give you an example that we adjusted the next functionalities because we saw that were a couple of things that we were only foreseeing to develop later with Karmo that we will now anticipate, because those were things that were really pointed out during the conversations, during the 30,000 conversations. Second to that, you understand that there are parts of your product, parts of the way that you are communicating in pre-sales that most likely are obviously unclear to our customers. So you kind of do a lot of market studies, but in the end, this is real time and coming from your customers or non-customers at whole time. And that's also an important element, is that you also have non-customers talking to Karmo. And that's quite rich in terms of the things that you can do back to your company and back to your ops, back to your product development. Now, before I close, I want to share just a fun thing that happened with in one of the conversations with Karmo. So Karmo, after 10 minutes that there's no reaction from the user, she says, well, it's been 10 minutes out, I haven't heard from you, I'm going to close, but I'm still here whenever you need. And this was the answer from the customer. It was, sorry, I had to go to the oven, I'm back. So you kind of get a lot of stuff that for as much as you put your bot learning, you'll always get interesting conversation as well. So I hope this gave you a glimpse on how Karmo was developed, and hopefully that was helpful for you as well. Finally, if you have any questions, just drop and ask a question to Karmo or a message to myself on LinkedIn. Enjoy. Thank you.